Have you ever looked at a topper and thought, how does this person always get such good marks? Maybe you think they're naturally smart. Maybe they study for 8 hours every day. Maybe they have perfect notes, never use their phone, and somehow never get distracted. But here's the truth. Most toppers aren't doing something completely different from you. The difference is usually in the small things they do consistently. And today, we're going to compare a topper and an average student, not to make you feel bad, but to show you exactly what you can change. Because you don't need to become a completely different person to improve your marks. You just need better habits. 1. How to study. Let's start with the biggest difference. An average student often studies like this. They open the chapter, they read it, maybe they underline a few lines, then they close the book and think, yeah, I know this. But when the exam comes blank, a topper does something different. They don't just ask, did I read this? They ask, can I remember this without looking? That's a huge difference. After studying a topic, close the book and try to explain it in your own words. Ask yourself questions. Solve problems without looking at the solution. Try to recall definitions, formulas, examples, and important points. Because reading something is not the same as knowing it. You don't get marks for how many pages you read. You get marks for what you can actually remember and use in the exam. 2. What they do when they don't feel like studying. Here's something nobody wants to admit. Sometimes you just don't feel like studying. You come home from school, you tell yourself, I'll rest for 10 minutes. Then you pick up your phone, 10 minutes becomes 30. 30 becomes an hour. And suddenly you're thinking, I'll start tomorrow. Topper doesn't necessarily feel motivated every single day either. They're just less dependent on motivation. Instead of waiting to feel like studying, they have a routine. Maybe it's come home, eat, take a short break, then study for one focused session. They don't negotiate with themselves every single day. And this is important. Discipline doesn't mean studying for 6 hours. It can simply mean doing what you plan to do even when you don't really feel like it. 3. The phone. Now let's talk about the biggest enemy of concentration, your phone. Average student, I'll just check one notification. Then Instagram, then YouTube, then messages, then another video. And suddenly 45 minutes are gone. A topper understands something very simple. Your attention is valuable. So when they study, they make distractions harder to reach. The phone might be in another room. It might be on silent. It might be turned off. The point isn't that toppers never use their phones. Of course they do. The difference is that they don't let their phone decide when their study session ends. So next time you study, try this. Put your phone somewhere you can't easily reach it. Then study for just 25 or 30 minutes without checking it. You'll be surprised how much you can actually get done. 4. What they do with their mistakes. This is one of the biggest differences. An average student gets a question wrong and thinks, I got it wrong. Then they move on. A topper thinks, why did I get it wrong? Was it because they didn't understand the concept? Did they forget a formula? Did they misread the question? Was it a calculation mistake? Did they know the answer but run out of time? That question, why did I get this wrong, is incredibly powerful because every mistake becomes information. Imagine you keep making the same mistake in 3 tests. If you simply feel bad about it, nothing changes. But if you identify the reason and fix it, the mistake becomes a lesson. So don't just collect marks. Collect your mistakes and learn from them. 5. Revision. Here's another major difference. The average student often starts serious revision when the exam is extremely close. Suddenly, I have to finish 5 chapters tonight. Panic mode activated. The topper usually doesn't rely completely on last-minute studying. They revise along the way. It doesn't have to be complicated. After finishing a topic, spend a few minutes recalling it later. The next day, quickly test yourself. A few days later, practice some questions, then revise again before the exam. This means that when the exam finally arrives, they're not seeing everything for the first time. And that's why revision isn't just about studying more. It's about forgetting less. 6. Their goal is different. Here's something interesting. An average student might think, I need to finish this chapter. A topper thinks, I need to be able to answer questions from this chapter. See the difference? One is focused on completion. The other is focused on understanding and performance. Don't study just so you can say, I've completed the chapter. Study until you can actually use what you learned. Because finishing a chapter isn't the goal. Knowing the chapter is. 7. They don't try to be perfect. And this might surprise you. Toppers aren't perfect. They procrastinate sometimes. They get distracted. They make silly mistakes. They have bad study days. They can get low marks too. The difference is what they do after that. An average student might get one bad test and think, I'm just bad at this subject. A topper thinks, okay, what went wrong? Then they adjust. One bad test doesn't define you. One bad day doesn't define you. Even one bad month doesn't define you. What matters is whether you keep improving. So what actually makes a topper? It's not some secret brain that only a few people are born with. It's not studying 12 hours every day. And it's definitely not having perfect motivation. It's things like active recall, consistent revision, fewer distractions, learning from mistakes, practicing questions, and most importantly doing these things consistently. That's the real difference. The gap between an average student and a topper can look huge from the outside, but when you look closely, it's often made up of small decisions repeated every day. Your 7-day challenge, so here's what I want you to do. Don't try to become a topper overnight. For the next 7 days, do just these 5 things. Number 1, study without your phone nearby. Number 2, after learning something, close the book and recall it. Number 3, practice questions instead of only rereading. Number 4, write down your mistakes and understand why you made them. Number 5, revise old topics instead of only studying new ones. That's it. You don't need a 10-hour timetable. You don't need 20 fancy stationery items. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Start small. Because the goal isn't to look like a topper. The goal is to study like one. And if you actually follow these habits for the next few weeks, don't be surprised if your marks start looking different too. Your future marks are being built by what you do today. So which one of these 5 habits are you starting today? Comment it below. And if you want to become a better student without turning your entire life into studying, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.